Mr. Huffines, I want to thank you for this opportunity today. I want to thank you for that is within you, that you would step forward and be willing to lead the people of Texas in such an incredible time. So welcome to Mission Messiah Television. I want to begin by asking you if you would just tell our audience a little bit about yourself, those things that you want them to know today.
Well, thank you. It's great to be on your show, and hello, Patriots. Well, let me just start. I'll start by just giving you a little bio and then why I'm running or whatever you'd like to hear. But I'm a fifth generation Texan. I was born in Dallas, Texas. I was raised in the Metroplex. I've always been a lifelong conservative activist. I've always had this passion for liberty and freedom that's always been burning in me. I'm a businessman. I started my company in 1985, and I do commercial real estate, and we build new apartments and other things like that. And it's been very good to me. I thoroughly enjoy my work. I'm a father and a husband, and the best thing that ever happened to me was 34 years ago, marrying my beautiful, perfect wife, Mary Catherine. And she's on the trail with me a lot. And we have 5 children, 4
Awesome.
boys and a girl. And we homeschooled our children to make sure they would grow up in a solid Christian environment. And they did. I like to brag on them. All 4 boys were Eagle Scouts, and I got 4 Longhorns out of that bunch and 1 Horned Frog. And now we're new grandparents 4 times over in the last 21 months. It's a new chapter of our lives, very exciting, and we're looking forward to a whole lot more of those grandbabies. But I decided that, and I just asked this question: have you ever met a Republican in Texas that didn't say he was conservative? No, they all say they're conservative, and most of them are just not telling the truth. And I've supported many candidates over decades. I've been a delegate to the many state conventions over 30 years. I delegate to 3 national conventions, but I decided I was tired of yelling at that TV, and I knocked out an incumbent. Nobody thought it could be done in Dallas County in the Republican primary for the Texas Senate. And I was outspent over 2-1, and I was an underdog. So I know what that's like. And I also know what it's like to win. And so I was in the Senate from 14 to 18. I got knocked out in 18 when the Democrats finished taking over Dallas County, Jamie, you might not realize that there's only 3 Republicans left in Dallas County out of the whole bunch. And Trump barely got 30% of the vote in Dallas County. Right. That's not the city of Dallas. That's the whole county.
I hear you.
And that poison's spreading everywhere. But the point I want to make is I delivered on all my campaign promises, all of them and more. And that's really what we're trying to discern when we're listening to candidates, when we're talking to them or go to forums. Can you trust them? Are they reliable? Are they really going to tell you the truth? And most candidates won't give you any specific policies, but most of them don't have any, but it's really because they don't want to be accountable. But they're more specific. Yeah, more specific if you are, the easier it is to hold them accountable. And real quick, I was always ranked one of the top 3 most conservative state senators in Texas history. I was the only elected office holder in modern Texas history, maybe all of Texas history, in Austin that never took any money from the government. No pay, pension, healthcare, no travel vouchers, no reimbursements. And I always told the voters I work for them. I don't work for the government. There's nothing the matter working for the government. But the government didn't hire me. The people hired me.
Amen.
And that's what I'm going to do as governor. I'm never taking any money for any reason. And I uncovered corruption scandals and stuff like that.
Well, I appreciate it, Don. And as I say, I appreciate that you engaged in this race. I have been in 2 U.S. congressional races myself, so I definitely have an appreciation for what you have committed to and what you're enduring in this hour. But Don, I just want to ask you this question. I want to start right here. How in the world have we gotten to where we are in this nation, and as you've just alluded to, is happening in our own Texas today?
It's about leadership. It really is. Courageous leadership. My campaign tagline is leadership, no excuses. And I like to point out what an excuse is. It's the skin of a lie. And we're tired of the broken and empty promises. Most things in Texas are downstream of the governor's office. Our virtue, our culture, our legislation, of course, the budget and everything else. We just don't have any courage in our country, and we certainly don't have it in our state and the Republican Party.
Okay, so let's go deeper, Don, because I'm
Okay.
I'm wanting to drill down right here. So how did we get there? I want you to I want to hear your heart as to how we have arrived at that place. Yes, we don't have leadership. Yes, it's a pack of lies. How did we get here?
Well, in Texas, we got here because the Republican Party was really a lot of Democrats. As you know, Texas was all Democrat for a long time. And so we've got a lot of Republicans in office that are really Democrats. I'm the only candidate that ran for office that's running for governor that's actually been in that swamp. And I tell you this because it's going to answer your question. At our Republican caucus meetings in the Texas Senate, there's only 20 Republicans. What they talked about most of the time was how they're going to make the Democrats happy. What do the Democrats think? How are the Democrats going to respond? And so that's the paradigm that we've been dealing with in Texas with the Republican Party. And the Republicans have controlled everything for 20 years, the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. But they continuously work to make the Democrats happy. And they brag about it. Oh, we only had 30 partisan bills out of 700 or whatever the number is. Right. And that's where Abbott's made the biggest mistakes, is always trying to appeal to the Democrats and make them happy.
Appease. Exactly.
Yes.
So, but Don, let me ask you this. What is truth?
I think truth comes biblically. I really do. And that's what one of the main things that a governor can have influence on. It's like I said, our culture. And yes. Look, our founders of our country knew that you can never really experience true liberty without a virtuous society. We've lost the culture war, Jamie. And
well,
Texas,
that's exactly, you know, we look at our founding fathers, and they clearly understood in that declaration that our rights were God-given, and yet we're living in a society that is totally disregarded that understanding.
We are. And we've got, since we lost the court case in 61 of prayer in school, and then 62, the Bible in the school and others, we basically have at least 2 to 3 generations of Texans that have gone through the government school system with no moral foundation, or not the moral foundation that we had previously. I mean, we are a Judeo-Christian culture, and we've lost this culture war. And it starts with leadership at the top, where don't forget that the power of the governor is the power of appointments in Texas. The governor appoints hundreds of people to every board and agency you can imagine. And, you know, the education agency, the Health and Human Services, the medical board, pharmacy board, real estate. But the one that people forget about that I often bring up because it's key to winning the culture war is the board of regents at these universities and colleges. The governor appoints them all. And where we lost the big battle is really with the universities training the teachers into socialism and all that. And they're spreading it all the way from the elementary school. They spread the poison downstream. And so that's one way that we can win this culture war.
It is. And so let me just ask right here, because I want to keep us moving along. What do you believe is the most important credential that you are going to bring to the governorship?
Well, absolutely. That's an easy answer. It's courage. It's courage. And without that, you can hang it up for anyone. I've been in the swamp. I've been tested. I always voted right, but it's more than that. It's who's the fighter. I'm at a distinct advantage over all that, Jamie, because I don't need a new job or a new career. And I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to solve the problems that affect Texas. So I don't care about the political ramifications. It really is, it's a freeing experience. And so I don't care how many people get mad. I'm here for Texans and to win the culture war and to solve the problems and to prove that how sovereign we are as a state too. Don't forget. to the
You
federal
know,
government.
Don, you were out here in West Texas recently at the forum out at the Wagner Noel, and if you recall, I had the opening prayer that night. And the thing that the Lord had impressed upon me that day is I prayed over that night with you men, and I certainly appreciated your presence there. But, you know, there were four things that Jethro exhorted Moses to. He said, first of all, choose from you for leadership able men. Secondly, these men must fear God. Thirdly, they must be men that stand upon truth. And fourthly, which again, Don, I see as a huge issue, is they must not be given to covetousness. You know, we absolutely are upside down today, I believe, through bribery and blackmail in our system. How do we right that ship in this hour with as deep as it has ingrained itself?
Well, money is the root of a lot of problems in our culture and our society worldwide. I tell you that the lobbyists have a lot of influence, of course, in Austin, but they left me alone, Jamie. They did because they knew I wasn't for sale. And I always asked everybody, "Hey, where's all the lobby supposed to be?" Well, they just didn't. They never bothered me. It didn't matter. Of course, I got some
Isn't that
donations
funny?
from them, but I'm not going to change who I am and what I'm about with that. And I do want to just revert just a second to your previous question. I'm going to, as governor, make sure we get prayer back in every classroom in Texas. I'm going to make sure that we get biblical studies in our junior highs. We've got to get a moral foundation for our kids in this state, in our government school system. And I'm not worried about the battle. Jamie, I know everybody says, oh, you're going to lose. I don't care about the lawsuit. I really don't, because they have to enforce it.
Right.
I mean, how's Biden administration going to put prayer police in every campus or schools and stuff like? It's not going to happen. I'll take that fight all day. It's the same with most of the issues I'm focused on, like the border and others. I'm never asking permission from the federal government. That's where we've gone off track. And I tell you, it's not going to happen in the Huffines administration. I'm not worried about it.
And I like that. I like that a lot. And that's kind of my next question is how you will lead in absolutely reversing that trend of federal government overreach.
Well, that's how we're going to do it. Like I just said, I'm not asking permission from the federal government. I'm just not worried about it. Look, if the federal government.
Now here's our issue though. We've just come through two legislatures in the state of Texas, and because of what you alluded to earlier, the number of rhinos that are in place, we have not accomplished. We've accomplished virtually nothing of the Republican platform.
Right.
So how, as governor, are you going to be able to deal with that rhino Congress and Senate that we have today?
Well, that's a great question. And like I said, I'm the only person that's running for governor that's actually been in that swamp. I know the players, I know the committees, I know the snake traps, snake pits, I know everything about it. I couldn't imagine really running for governor or being governor of Texas and not having that experience. You know, Abbott never had that experience. Well, look, Greg Abbott is a 30-year career politician. It's just what he is. He's really, and I'm not trying to bash him much, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what he is. He's a political windsock blowing in the wind. And he's not a true conservative. He doesn't really believe in our party platform. The governor of Texas can get almost any bill done anytime he wants. He's the governor of Texas. He's the leader of the Republican Party. The reason we don't get our party platform done, or our priorities that I championed all the time I was there, and that's the reason I ran, is because Abbott doesn't want them to be law. Abbott's the one that empowered Phelan, and he's the one that empowered Strauss. He's the one. It's not what it seems. It's a lot of it's political theater. And so what is Abbott's favorite thing to say? Well, I'll sign it if it gets to my desk. Well, he'll make sure he can kill it in committee. He just sends his team over there and makes sure none of that happens. He doesn't champion anything. My legislative agenda is a Republican Party legislative agenda. My emergency items are the Republican Party's legislative agenda. Let me just say this real quick. I know what those people want in that building. I know how they operate. They're all in this club, this exclusive club. They're the know-it-alls. They ignore the grassroots. They ignore the party platform. They actually make fun of it. And that's because we can't help them get done what they want. What do they want more than anything? They want to get bills passed. They want to get legislation done, because that's how you move up in the club, in the food chain. That's how you get to be a committee chairman. That's why they hire staff. That's why they file 80 bills. Well, guess who gets last call on every bill? The governor. I don't care if I veto 1,000 bills. I know what they want. And like Democrat committee chairman, that's an easy fix. I can veto every bill out of every Democrat committee, every Democrat chaired committee until they
Well,
go ahead.
We just, we have a representative out here in our district that, was very staunch before he was elected that, he would not fall into the Strauss trap. And that's exactly what he did within a matter of days.
Yes, sir.
That's
what
we're
happens.
dealing with. That's what happens.
Yes.
And so, Mr. Huffines, what sustains you from that cliff fall?
I think really it's about courage. It is. I have a deep passion for liberty and freedom, and it transcends everything. And I have a deep passion for our Republican Party platform. And I think it's the best platform document that any party could have possibly put together. As a matter of fact, when I was a national delegate in 2008 to Minnesota, I had 2,500 of them printed and shipped to Minnesota. And then I had one put on every national delegate's chair at the Republican National Convention. So everyone in the nation could see our platform. That's how much I love it. And it's
exactly.
So I don't have any other agenda. I just want to say, I don't have any other agenda. I don't really like politics, but I love the solutions and I want to implement them.
Well, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate your business background. Mine is a business background at large. And so I know if you've done business, you pretty much understand how to make things happen, how to make things work. Now, you've spoken pretty boldly concerning property taxes, which is just a huge nemesis in our state today. But tell us a little bit about what you're saying concerning property taxes.
Well, this will be a seismic shift, not just for Texas when we get rid of it, but for the world. You know that every state's got property taxes. Almost every country in the world has property taxes. I'm going to make sure Texas is finally a leader in something. We're going to get our swagger back. This is an economic liberty perspective. This is why talk about property rights if you can never own your own property. As you know, everything's owned by the government, every ranch, farm, piece of land, your house, your business, your inventory in your business. It's all owned by the government, and all you do is rent it from them. It's a terrible tax. As a matter of fact, my plan is Proposition 2 on the ballot for the primary, which is to phase it out. Here's my plan, and I've worked on it for years with a lot of great minds. It's very achievable. I know that most people say that, oh, that's not believable. It's, that's just political rhetoric. It's not.
Yeah, that was my question. Is this doable? I love what you're saying, but is it doable or is it campaign rhetoric? So yeah, let's hear.
I'll tell you this. I wouldn't say it if I wasn't going to deliver on it. There's a lot of things I can be campaigning on, but in all of my issues, I have comprehensive solutions. And these are the most important issues for Texas. And I'm telling you, I'm going to deliver on it. It will be one heck of a fight. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but the plan is really simple. It's not that complicated. We're going to cut state spending. We're going to take government surplus, state of Texas surplus revenue every year for 8 years, and we're going to buy down property tax with that surplus. Then we're going to shift some of it over to sales tax. So sales tax will increase. My plan is an 8-year phase out over the property tax. So we're just replacing where the money comes from. We're never going to have an income tax, and we're going to keep local governments fully funded. So the money, instead of coming from property tax, will come from the other revenue buckets, mainly sales tax from the state of Texas. The comptroller just recently has announced that we have a $25 billion surplus for the next biennium. I mean, if we spend all that money, we can't buy down property tax. So I'm taking 90% of the government surplus over a 2%, a 3% increase for inflation and population growth, and we're going to buy down property tax with. It's a math problem, and we're going to keep. I'm not changing the funding formulas for the schools.
Okay. One of my next questions is this. You know, one of the things that seems to be converging for the destruction of our society today is inflation. I think the CPI Consumer Price Index just reported a 7.5% increase over this time a year ago. And when I did a little digging, I understand that if they actually use the same methodology or model that they used in 1980, we're actually over a 15% inflation increase. You know, gas, everybody knows the fuel prices today are up 40% over last year. We're seeing used cars are up 40%. I mean, what are we going to do about the inflation and how quickly it's going to squeeze people in this hour?
Well, really the best thing we could do is eliminate property tax, because that's where most people are going to really feel it when their homes in Dallas, homes are gone up 20%. But it's not just the homes, it's all the commercial property also, which has no appraisal cap. Nothing has an appraisal cap unless it's your homestead, and that's at 10%. I mean, people are really going to freak out when they see all these new appraisals in the next 36 months. And my plan is to freeze property taxes day one, and then we take 12.5% off every year till it's eliminated completely. I think that's a big relief for a lot of the inflation burden. But look, when you got Democrats, and it's Republicans and Democrats, have debased our currency since the Federal Reserve was created. Exactly. Right now, the dollar buys about 1 cent of what it did in 1917 or 1913. So, and it's rapidly being devalued. I think it's inevitable. We probably get a currency collapse in our country. And so the governor's job is to obviously prepare Texans for that.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking just today with that rate and what's happened with gasoline prices at minimum wage, $7.50, somebody might get somewhere between 20 and 40 miles on an hour of work, you know? So,
yes.
Well, is there anything that you want to add at this point in time that you want to speak from your heart, sir, to our audience that would just give us some insight, additional insight? And I appreciate so much the things that you have said. And again, want to thank you for your courage.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jamie. I sure appreciate that. I think the number one issue for most Republicans, of course, is the border, and it should be. The border is wide open. The federal government's never going to secure the border. They never have, and they never will. And when we just remind everyone that when the Republicans controlled everything in Washington, the House, the Senate, with a courageous President Trump, the border was still wide open. The only chance we have of saving the country and saving Texas is with a courageous governor. And I've got a great plan to secure that border. It's been up on my website since May, and I'm never asking permission from the federal government to secure the Texas border. It's not necessary. I was on the committee in Austin for border security. I've seen it all. Just think of this for a second. Border Patrol saying 2 million illegals are flooded into Texas in the last 12 months, unapprehended. They've already caught them from 150 different countries. We don't even know where these people are from. We don't know their names. No country in the world would tolerate what Texas is tolerating. Yet we've got a Republican governor that's tolerating it. His Operation Lone Star has been reported by all the major press in the nation that it's a failure. It's making the situation worse. Well, I'm using Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution, which clearly gives the governors the authority to stop an invasion. I'm engaging neighboring states' militaries, our military, and the rules of engagement are simple: to stop the invasion. We're not going to turn anybody over to Border Patrol. We're going to immediately deport everybody back across the river. I'm going to put the economic pain on Mexico till they cooperate. We're stopping most all inbound commercial traffic from Mexico until they take back their side of the river from the cartels. Every road that leads to those bridges is a state road. We can do what we want. This is one of the main reasons this election is the most important election in the country. Because I'm going to get done in 60 days, which never been done. I'm the actual Republican that's actually going to do something. And the same with all the other issues. Let me just say this. If you want to phase out property tax, you want to actually get a secure border. You want somebody that's going to push back against the federal government and prove that Texas is sovereign. If you want somebody who's going to win the culture war and get confidence in our elections, and I've created a new law enforcement division at a DPS to enforce the election laws. If you want all those issues and to stop the genital mutilation of our children and everything else that's going on, get our platform into law.
Heresy.
You got to have one thing. You got to have a courageous governor of Texas, or you're not getting to the 1-inch line.
And I appreciate your posture there. So, Mr. Huffines, the Lord bless you. We will continue to watch this race with excitement.
Well, I sure appreciate that, Jamie. And the Lord has blessed me so much. And I've really turned this over to him. All right. We'll work 100% hard as we can, but I want his will to be done in this campaign.
Well, not mine, but his be done. Amen. Thank you so much. Look forward to visiting again.
Thank you so much too. God bless you.
Bless you. Welcome to Wow Warehouse. Are you ready for the cold, windy days to be behind us and the wonderful, beautiful spring begin to set in? Well, that's what we're ready for at Wow. And we have brought in more pots for your spring planting. We have brought in more gorgeous home decor pots for your new homes or your new patio areas. We have brought in new jewelry lines that are going to be so much fun this spring. And our new metal art selection, wow. You can have everything from metal flowers that you don't have to worry about killing with too much water or too little water. You can have our amazing spinners that just brighten up and bring a lot of movement into your yard. There are just so many things that wow for you to come and look at. We have a number of new Christian gift lines that we're very excited about, that individuals have really been enjoying for birthday gifts, for wedding gifts, and for any number of things. So we just hope to see you soon over at WOW as the temperature changes. The Lord bless you and keep you. WOW, 815 North Grandview in Odessa.